We think of the ordinary as safe, whether it's buying milk, crossing the street, making small talk, but for some, these simple acts become battlegrounds. Milk Inside a Bag of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk dives into this uncomfortable truth, using the mundane as a lens into deeper psychological struggles. Whether you interpret it as a literal depiction of mental illness or a metaphor for the overwhelming anxiety of simply existing, there's no denying the game's emotional resonance. The premise is deceptively simple. We got a young girl on her seemingly straightforward mission to purchase milk. You never really see her, but you get to know her through her actions, what others say, and most of all, her inner thoughts. She's kind of a puzzle, and through her you get to experience what's going on in her head and the world that she sees. The game intentionally makes her identity unclear, and her thoughts are full of self-hate, doubt, and the belief that she just can't handle the world. Even simple things like talking to people as they are depicted as monsters, which goes to show you the power of our internal narratives to shape our reality. The gameplay of Milk both complements and subverts the anxieties expressed in its narrative. You don't directly control the girl, instead making choices presented in stark text boxes as a kind of anxious inner monologue. The dialogue options are interesting to say the very least. You can be an asshole, or you could tell her to keep on progressing. Each choice brings consequences, both in the girl's actions and in the tone of the text itself. This creates a strange disconnect that mirrors the experience of dissociation. You are both guiding the girl and observing her disconnect from her own agency. Simple tasks become monumental hurdles. Even the act of choosing between two options can send the pros spiraling into self-doubt. There's a helplessness to the experience, a lack of control that intensifies the emotional impact. The game frequently breaks the fourth wall, further blurring the lines between player, character, and the very nature of the game itself. This meta-commentary turns the anxieties outward, making you complicit in the girl's unraveling. Are you helping her, or are you another form of pressure in her chaotic mindscape? The gameplay is deliberately minimalistic, reflecting the stark internal world it portrays. This darkness can be both unsettling and compelling, forcing you to focus on the weight of each decision rather than the mechanics of its execution. And best of all, since this is a visual novel, you can save at any point so you can experience the variety of outcomes and endings the game offers. The graphics act as a potent extension of the game's oppressive psychological atmosphere. The stark pixelated aesthetic harkens back to a simpler era of gaming, evoking a sense of both nostalgia and unease. The harsh visuals amplify the game's exploration of a mind in turmoil. The world the girl navigates is a near monochrome landscape where details dissolve into basic forms. Figures are little more than outlines devoid of expressions or distinguishing features. This visual poverty echoes her fragmented perception, the inability to process the complexities of normal interaction, the simplification of everything into potential sources of fear. It's a world constantly on the verge of abstraction, highlighting the struggle to find stability within it. The audio experience is as unsettling as the visuals and storyline. Unlike typical games with comforting background music, this one has no cheerful tunes to soften the emotional impact. Instead, there's a low, persistent hum that feels like static buzzing just beneath the surface of your consciousness. This oppressive soundtrack constantly reminds you of the anxiety gnawing at the protagonist's perception. Occasionally, sound effects puncture this hum, startling rather than soothing. Muffled voices, the clatter of dropped items, and the rhythmic beeping of a grocery scanner all distort or amplify, adding to the overwhelming nature of everyday stimuli. These sounds don't clarify the game world, they destabilize it, contributing to the disorientation shared between the player and the protagonist. Music in the traditional sense appears sparingly. When it does, it's often harsh and discordant, mirroring the chaotic text-based choices offered to the player. These jarring musical interludes coincide with moments of heightened emotional distress, externalizing the internal struggle rather than providing relief from it. Silence is also used as a tool. In the game's most tense moments, The hum might cut off, leaving a void that amplifies the sense of isolation and vulnerability. So yeah, that's Milk Inside a Bag of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk. It's a game that trades traditional mechanics for a raw emotional punch. It's a reflection on how overwhelming simple things can become, a potent reminder of the unseen struggles others might be facing. It won't be for everyone, it's definitely going to push you out of your comfort zone, and it might even leave you feeling a bit unsettled. But that's precisely what makes it such a unique and impactful experience. If you're up for a game that makes you think, makes you feel, then it's worth checking out. But be warned, you might come away looking at the world and even yourself in a slightly different way.